What's up, everybody? I got another cool airbrush lesson for you. It'll be another t-shirt, real simple sunset painting. As you can see, I have some reference photos here. And when you're first starting out, this is what you want to do. Just go online, find some cool pictures of stuff you like, and basically just try to recreate that, and just to learn the techniques and practice your trees and birds and all the basic shapes, and just work on creating good beach scenes and work on your names and all that stuff, because that stuff's really popular if you set up an airbrush booth somewhere. So I picked these, and this one I'm probably going to use more like these colors, but I may freehand in some clouds like that or something. But this is basically just to show you guys how to build up your painting, and just a real simple way to freehand some designs like this. I highly recommend you practice stuff like this over and over until you can bust it out freehand really quick and really easily. That way, if you want to do t-shirts to make money, you can bust it out in 5 or 10 minutes, and there you have $25 or $35 profit, depending on where you get your shirts and how much they cost and all that. So I'm going to kind of just walk you through the process of doing a freehand sunset beach scene kind of shirt, and then I'll freehand a name on there at the end. If you're not sure where to buy any of your supplies, I have links below in the description where you can purchase pretty much anything I use in this video, as far as from the Createx paint. It comes in all different size bottles. I usually try to buy the bigger bottles, but I'm still running on a lot of these smaller ones from Hobby Lobby. You can get them at Hobby Lobby, but if you're going to be doing a lot of them, I recommend you just order some of the bigger bottles. It's more worth it in the long run. I have a link showing you what kind of compressor to get. There'll be a link for the shirt boards. You may be doing like I did starting out, and just cutting stuff out of cardboard or something like that. So I highly recommend you just going ahead and getting some shirt boards. You can buy a set of them for probably, I want to say $100 or somewhere around there, but it'll come with all the sizes you need. I'll try to find a link for some t-shirts too and put that down there. I get my stuff pretty much wholesale price, so these shirts, depending on what brand I get, they're anywhere from $1 to $5 a piece. So if you're going to be doing a bunch of them, you can make some pretty good profits if you get good at painting, and if you get to where you can paint them really fast and easy. So if I think of anything else to tell you guys, I'll try to tell you along the way. But starting out, to do something like this, these are both pretty much circular style designs. So I'm going to start out with orange. I'm doing more like these colors, this color scheme. I'm going to start out with the orange, work light to dark, build up to the deep red for some of these dark areas, and maybe use it for the clouds or something. And then I'll go back and do my yellow so that it can blend in with my orange. And then I'll go on top of all of it with the black, and then maybe do white highlights at the end if I think it needs it. But orange, the orange I'm using is called just transparent orange, just plain transparent orange, Createx. So keep in mind, most of the time, most stuff like this, unless you're doing a specific custom shirt for somebody and they want the whole front covered, general rule of thumb, maybe 4 inches or so below the collar. Maybe keep the design somewhere in there. So I'm going to basically just kind of freehand a circle real light with the orange. Build it up really slow That way you can kind of smooth it out as you go, because it's pretty difficult to airbrush a perfect circle. That's pretty close. And then also try to make sure you center it good. That looks pretty close. It's pretty much spot on. Not a perfect circle, but I'll smooth that out as I go. So, alright, first I'm just going to start kind of roughing in some of these shapes. Some of these background trees and land. Looks like there's some land back there or something. And then maybe some of these streaks in the sky. And then I'll rough in some of this stuff. This is a real simple, easy way to do this stuff. So I'm going to kind of just do this. Make a couple of lines here to create that horizon line where that land is. And as you can see, that one is a little bit higher than that one. So that creates the illusion of depth between this land and that land. You don't have to do it that way, but it is a cool little extra thing of detail there. Like this one, they just kept it going all the way across, and that's fine too. This one just has a little bit more depth, so we'll do it that way. It looks cool. Now, if you're brand new to airbrushing, I recommend you look back at some of my earlier videos where I show you the basic techniques of doing your thin lines and thick lines. Practice that hundreds of times until you get the hang of it. Literally go through 100 sheets of poster board just practicing over and over. Then this stuff will come easy. Alright, so a little bit more tree background here. Just kind of roughing it in. Slowly make it come to life. And at this point, you don't have to be real precise and make it all perfect, because you're basically doing a sketch. Just a real quick, light sketch. And as you get better and better, you can go in there and lay down everything dark in one pass if you want. I'm just showing you how to build this up in a real easy, simple way, starting out. And just refer to your reference. Whatever design you find that you like, just kind of stay true to it until you get the hang of stuff. Some little water lines there. Stick some of these streaks down here. And also keep in mind, try to keep your airbrush as perpendicular to the shirt. Not leaning this way, not leaning this way, not like this or this. The more angle you put on there, the more overspray you're going to have. So most of the time, you want to keep your airbrush pointed straight at it, like so. If I get to leaning a little bit, it's mainly because I'm trying not to block the view so you can see what I'm doing. So that's kind of basically roughed in. I'll bring these trees up a little bit more here. And that's not necessarily straight at the bottom. Gonna do that. Alright, so that's basically roughed in. So, alright, as you can see, it's already kind of coming together a little bit. So now I'm going to go in here and start darkening a few spots, kind of level this out some. Starting to come to life a little bit. If you would rather this be a perfect circle, nice and crisp on the edges, you could use some kind of template and cut out a stencil with poster board or something. But for the look I'm going for, it doesn't necessarily need to be perfectly crisp. But you can use stencils if you choose. Some designs require it. Like say you wanted this in the shape of a heart and you didn't want any overspray, you would need to make a stencil for that. So feel free to get creative with it, kind of do things in your own way. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you're making it look good and the customer's happy. Alright, so the areas where you see the white, some of it I'll leave white to make it look like the sun's shining or something. But then most of these other spots will be filled in with yellow. I'll blend that in here soon. But I think that's pretty much it with the orange. So I'm going to go ahead and load up some deep red and then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, I have transparent deep red Createx. That's all I use on shirts anyway. Alright, deep red. I'll use this to go in here and define these lines in the water a little bit better, darken the outside a little bit, and that'll be about it. I might do a little cloud work up in the sky just to give you an idea of how to do these clouds, similar to that. Once again, just building it up nice and slow. Make sure you keep that needle clean. And just feel free to step back away from it, check it out. And like I said, it's pretty tough to do a perfect circle. get it as close to perfect as possible, but it doesn't have to be 100% perfect because there will be some palm trees painted in here and a name. So I mean, it's gonna take away from it some. Don't stress the perfect circle thing unless you're doing the stencil method and that's what you want. Then make it as perfect as you can. But all right, now to darken these lines. And if you're not sure how to do that, refer back to the earlier videos where I show you how to do thin and thick lines. Practice that over and over and over. But you want to get pretty close to the shirt and move pretty quickly. I'm going to go this way just because it'll be a little easier. That's the kind of stuff where trigger practice comes in handy. You really want to get good with that trigger so you can whip those lines out to a nice little point. All right, now maybe fade that in a little bit. And I'll show you how to do a couple of clouds real quick. Basically, I just kind of lay down like a little guideline, like so. And then just kind of get close. Lay down some little freehand lines like so, whip it out. Kind of go back and fill that in. Hope I'm not blocking the camera. Just kind of fill that in. Smooth it out at the bottom. And there you got a little cloud. All right, do another one, maybe right in here, little guideline, and then lay down, keep the needle tip clean, lay down the basic shape of it like so, and you can adjust it as you go. That's the good part. If you don't get it perfectly how you want it the first try, you can go back and add to it. Alright, this one looks a little weird to me, so I'm going to straighten it up just a little bit. Alright, so there we have a couple of clouds, and like Bob Ross, the man, says, how about we give those clouds some little friends. Maybe one more right here. Lay down your little guideline, just real light, real quick. And then come in there, get the basic shape of it. step away. I don't like the way that looks. It looks too consistent right there. So I'm gonna smooth it out a little bit. So there's cloud 3. Pretty decent, pretty decent. So instead of doing more clouds back here, maybe just kind of, you know, some light shading to kind of make it look like there's another cloud back there in the distance. Maybe just some stuff like this. Just some little squiggly lines, real light, faded out. Make it look like more distant clouds maybe. You know, might be cool. That doesn't look too bad. Now, kind of give these trees right here, this distant land and the trees, just kind of give them a little bit of a darker base right here. I think that'll help out. Once again, just refer to the reference. If it looks good on there and you do what they did, make it look like they did. Can't go wrong. Alright. So that looks pretty cool. I think I will add a couple more parallel lines to kind of better define this horizon line. Alright, something like that. Maybe even smooth that out just a little bit. More parallel. I think that would look better. Alright, that doesn't look too bad. So, next up, I'm going to load up some bright yellow and get all that filled in. And then, like I said, I'll leave some negative space so that it looks like a hot spot, like where the sun would be. So it should stay white. So I'll get that loaded up and get ready to go. Alright, I got my airbrush loaded up with some bright yellow. It's just called Transparent Bright Yellow Createx. And if you're planning on airbrushing at events and set up a booth and all that, or you want to be able to bust out more shirts pretty quick, you need to have like 10 airbrushes so that you can have one for each color, so that you can just bounce right back and forth. Either have 10 hoses or the quick connects like this, which I'll share a link if I can find them online. I'll share a link for these, or you can pick them up at Hobby Lobby. I usually just use one hose and then have an airbrush stand with all my airbrushes set up so I can pick them up, snap them on there, and just go. It makes it a whole lot quicker when you're taking orders and you do 10 shirts in a row that require 10 different color palettes. So I highly recommend slowly adding more airbrushes to your arsenal. It pays off big time. Now when I'm just in my airbrush studio back here, just doing stuff at my own pace, a lot of the times I'll only use 1 or 2 airbrushes, maybe 3 sometimes, 1 for black, 1 for white, and then 1 to do all the colors with. Because if I'm just chilling and painting for fun or making these videos, I'm not in a hurry, and I can simply just come over to the sink and wash it out, spray it out, run some water through it, reload, And it doesn't take me that much longer, and it saves me from cleaning several airbrushes at the end of the day when I get done. But if you're trying to do it for money and do several shirts in one day, it's best to have like 10 airbrushes set up, and then you just dedicate part of your time at the end to go through and clean them all so they don't get clogged up. Got to take good care of them. All right, let me get this bright yellow in here. All right, now this, I'm gonna just let it blend into my other colors, because as the yellow blends in, this is a transparent, which means it's not opaque. It's not gonna cover other colors. You're gonna be able to see other colors through it, especially darker colors like the orange and red. So it'll kind of blend, and it'll make a real cool effect, which a sunset should be colors blending with each other anyway. So it works out good. I'll just go right over some of this red and orange. And as you can see, it blends really nicely. Maybe even blend up into the bottom of these clouds. And like I said, I'm gonna leave a little bit of white area in the middle right here, so that it will kind of create the effect that the sun is down there, maybe. We'll see. See how this is looking. And I'm just blending right into all that. And you can tell as I go over it, it goes from like that reddish color more to an orange, where that yellow and red mixes. And it looks really cool. Alright. Any spots you see that you need to have blended better, just go back and adjust it. Alright, now I'm going to take a step back. And I think it worked out pretty cool. See how I left the white spot there? I didn't actually draw a circle for the sun, which you can. You can stencil it and leave a perfect circle. It looks awesome. That's just a whole nother way of doing it. But sometimes certain sunsets, you don't see the definition of the circle, so it's fine to just do it like this. I had a circle cut out here just in case. If you want to do this effect, you basically just cut out a circle using a template, using just copy paper or poster board. If you want it to hold up and use it for several shirts, use poster board or some kind of plastic stencil material. But you basically just cut out the circle, get some spray glue. 3M has a good one. It's pretty much just spray adhesive. You just kind of lightly dust it and it'll stick right on there. And you will leave that stuck on there until you finish the painting, up until you're ready to do the black. For example, on this one, if you use that circle method there, you leave it on there until you're ready to do the black, take the stencil off, and then do the black. That's what creates that effect that the birds and dolphin are in front of the sun. So you'll just leave that on there throughout the whole painting until you're ready to do the black detail on top of all the colors. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys. I had it cut out just in case, but I decided to just do it that way. I think it looks a little cooler, a little bit more realistic. That's what I usually get into more anyway. Alright, so all the yellow is down. Now, I'll clean this out real quick, get some black loaded up, and I'll show you how I do the palm trees. I'll probably do something kind of in between these maybe. Mine end up looking more like that, and I'll show you how to do these cattails. Those are always cool. I'll do some trees in the distance and then a tree in the foreground like that, and then I'll throw a name on there. So let me get the black loaded up. All right, I got the black loaded up. Opaque black, Createx. All right, time for some trees. I'll do one here first. Show you how I do it. It's basically just whipping out lines, thick to thin, creating that kind of blades of grass effect. Just over and over, something like that. Get them kind of where they look layered. Do some thinner ones in the background maybe. Something like that. And then just kind of freehand a little base in here where it looks kind of like the ground or something. Fade that black out into your deep red. You can always adjust it and add more. So, there we got some grass. That's like the grass stuff that grows at the base of the palm tree. Now, time for the trunk of the tree. Throw it up here, maybe let it go up to here so that it doesn't hide all the cool clouds right there. So, thick to thin. And I'm not 100% happy with the bottom of that, so I'm going to thicken it up just a little bit more. Alright. Not too bad. Looks like a pretty decent tree stem, trunk, whatever you call those things. Alright. Now, basically doing the top of the tree is pretty much this same thing, just kind of in a different pattern, different shape. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About like 8 lines coming out this way. Something like that. Now, it's kind of like a sketch. You just kind of build it up as you go. So, then you go in here and whip out your smaller lines, just like that. And there's tons of ways of doing this. You can make your trees look like that if you like that one better. I've just always done mine more that way. This is where all that practice pays off. Thick to thin lines, just letting them fade out. Just whipping them out. Keep that tip clean. Just like that. Whipping them out. Whipping them out. And the middle probably needs to be darker, like that. Start to look like a palm tree. Keep whipping them out, just like that. Now, when you do a lot of these lines like this, whipping stuff out, doing that detail, your tip gets a lot of buildup on it. So you really gotta keep that clean. Or it'll start splattering paint, or you won't be able to pull real good, crisp lines and do that whip technique. So, I know I'm making it look easy, but if you understood how many palm trees I have drawn and airbrushed over the years, It's like muscle memory. That's why you have to practice over and over and over. And I'm darkening up my tree trunk once again. Want it a little bit bolder. Like so. Alright, that's a pretty cool looking tree. And then sometimes I go back and add a little bit more grass if I think it needs it. I think it looks cool when you bust outside the border. Since that's busting outside the border, it's just a cool part of the design to make that bust out of the border too. If you haven't already, I highly recommend doing a little bit of studying on, at least a little bit, on design theory and concepts. Just Google that and just at least study enough to where you know how to do a basic layout of something to where it looks balanced. Some people are just naturally better at that. I've had to study at it a little bit more than some people probably. But just learn basic design concepts, balance, and just ways to make your design pop and flow. But mainly flow and balance. Just do a little bit of research on that. And I don't know, most of you probably have the eye for it anyways. Just make it look good to you and then compare it to some other stuff out there and see what, just ask some family members and friends, have them critique your work. A lot of people are not good at creating art, but they're good at like recognizing when something's off and doesn't look right. So just ask around. Paint something, take it and let somebody critique it for you. Y'all may be critiquing mine. I don't know. It's looking alright so far, but it can always be better. Alright, now I'm going to do a little island back here in the distance, like that one. Or actually, I like that one. I'll do something more like that one. So, basically, back to the real light lines like this, kind of building it up. Something like that. Step away. Make sure it's parallel with the water level. And then kind of add your heels, whatever kind of land you want to make. This is your world, your beach scene. Unless your customer's picky, and then it's their world, their beach scene. So, there we have it. It already looks cool. That's basically just some land back there in the distance. Alright, keep that tip clean. Alright, how about some distant palm trees? So these are only going to be like that big. So it may be a little tricky. Alright, we got a tree. Looks a little wonky on the trunk, but we'll smooth it out. Alright. Little distant palm tree there. Another one to go. And another palm tree. Those smaller ones can be a little tedious, and you may be on and off your trigger even more, so just keep that tip clean. Alright, that looks pretty good. So now I'll show you the cattails. It's basically the same thing as doing the grass like this, and then you just do the tall stems, and then the little hot dog looking part, or whatever it is that goes up there on the top. Hot dog shape. Let's see. Alright. How about kind of like so. And I'm just making these curve this way because that's what way that's curving, so it'll kind of look like the breeze is blowing the same way. Alright, now for some taller stems. How about those? And add a little base to it. Just a little bit of a shadow, like it's sitting on the ground. And then well, I need to make, yeah, that looks good. So then looks like they did some little leaves coming off the top like this. So that looks cool. And then that top part is basically something like this. Just get in there and kind of scribble in some little shapes like that. And kind of whip out a point at the top like that. That's not exactly how they did it, but that's how I do it. It looks alright. Just figure out how you want yours to look and just practice on some poster board until you get the hang of it. And then bust out a shirt for somebody. If you know somebody that would like a cool airbrush shirt, just do some for practice and give them away starting out. So that looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'll go ahead and do some little birds in here, and that's basically just whipping a line out that way and whipping a line out that way. It's that easy. And you, depending on if they're closer to you or farther away, make them thicker or thinner, or depending on what kind of bird it is, I guess. I'm not going to be too picky about what kind of bird it is on this, but how about whip out a line there, whip out a line here. My airbrush kind of messed up on me, so there's a bird. I think I need to thicken up that wing just a little bit. My tip wasn't clean, so that wing had a gap in it. But you start out small. If it messes up, you can make it just a little bit bigger. Like Bob Ross said, no mistakes, just happy accidents. Alright, whip out this one, whip out that one, and how about one more little birdie? There you go, 3 little birds. Don't worry, be happy. Alright, now this next part might be a little tricky for you starting out. If you're like me and you have crappy handwriting, then you really have to practice on paper, even just with a pen. Like I scribbled out a name right here just for the heck of it, just to kind of get my hand in the motion, because I haven't been airbrushing a whole lot in the last couple of weeks. So if you have to, draw on paper until you get the hang of how to do each letter. Look up some samples online like I did. If you want to know how to do, you know, any of these letters in this name, just refer to that if you like that style of writing. But we're gonna throw a name. How about, I'm just gonna do the name down here. I think that'll look cooler. And then I might go in and do some shadowing on it or something. But so I'm just gonna, I just picked the name Brandy. I saw it written out in some nice script, so it'll work for this one. If Brandy is watching, what's up, Brandy? All right. Basically just starting with the vertical part of the B there. My airbrush messed up on me again right there, but no worries. That part needs to be thicker anyway. Alright, so I got a B started. And like I said, I'm no master of script. Script has always been a struggle for me. I'm pretty good at certain versions of it, but you may be better naturally at writing than me. So, alright, the way I do it, I kind of just lay down a little bit of a lighter sketch almost, and then I go back and thicken up the parts that I want thicker. Alright, so I thickened up the parts of it that I want thicker. The vertical parts especially, you want those thicker. And like I said, I'm no master of script, don't claim to be. You may be able to lay down a name perfect first try, just using your trigger. But that's just not something I'm that great at yet. Maybe one day. Alright, so I'm gonna load up. I'm gonna go back to some of the colors I used in here and kind of do some little accents around here to make it look cool. And then maybe do a highlight or two. Alright, I'm loading up some orange. I'm going to do a little orange around the name. And then probably a little bit of red too. And then it'll be time for white highlights. And then this one is done. Alright, got the orange loaded. Now, I'm just going to do kind of like a drop shadow. The drop shadow effect, I am basically just going to do a real light, thicker line, not like a small, crisp line, but I'm going to be a little bit farther away from the shirt, and I want it to look fuzzy. So I'm going to pretty much just go along to the right side of every letter, doing a real light fuzzy line, like so. Something like that. And then along the side of that one. Kind of just make, almost just make another letter that looks like it's underneath and to the right of the black letters, if that makes sense. That way it creates that shadow effect. Now, since this is a real light orange, I'm going to darken it up just a little bit. Maybe. There we go. But you still want it kind of fuzzy looking, not crisp. That way it looks like a shadow. And I'm just tracing along. I'm pretty much tracing along every letter. But like I said, make it look like it's to the right and maybe slightly below. So it looks like it's a shadow underneath. It's a cool effect. That kind of stuff really makes your lettering pop out. And if you're like me and your script is not as good as some of the other people out there, that kind of takes away from it. Not that you should be practicing getting better at your script, because that's probably what we should be doing. Alright, now I'm going to pretty much just trace along and make a border around here. So this will be a bolder, crisper line. Like so. So on that one, I was pulling the trigger back farther and I was closer to the t-shirt. So I wanted it to be a little bit bolder than that drop shadow. That makes for a cool effect. And then kind of lightly shade around it. Follow along like that again. Just a light dusting. Like so. And now is a good time to pull the shirt down like this if it was folded up, so it doesn't create a funny looking overspray there. Just be aware of stuff like that. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty cool. Now, I'm going to go back to the deep red. And since I'm going to a color that's way darker, and I'm using this same airbrush for all my colors right now, I can go straight to this color. I'm just spraying out all the orange. And go straight to the deep red. Just spray it for a second until that red comes through and it's ready to roll. Alright, with the red, I'm just going to kind of do another light dusting around here maybe. I might do a crisp line and then another light dusting just to kind of give this a similar effect to make it match the rest of the painting. So, first I'll just do this. I'll just do a little light dusting first. See how that looks. And that looks pretty cool, so I might just leave it like that. And some people get into the little star effects, some people don't. Just in case you like that look, I'm going to bust out a couple of those, show you how to do that. It's basically whipping out lines except straight lines. Just a few straight lines, thick to thin, just whipping it out. So just figure out where you want your star to be, and then basically just do this. Now that's not straight up and down because I'm having a hard time staying out of the way of the camera. So once again, just kind of whip it out. like so. Then just kind of shade and make that middle part bigger. And then do kind of like a light fuzzy line right here, just farther away, less pulling back on the trigger. Something like that. It gives it a cool effect. And then I think it looks cool to do just a few little spots like this. But you come up with your own little freehand designs or whatever, however you want to do it to make it look cool. There's no rules to it. I'll do another one here. Something like that. Now, this is not necessary. This is, you know, some people like the little extra stuff that gives it that extra flair, and some people don't. So, usually if the customer says, I want this design, but just kind of do your own thing, make it look good, I trust you, whatever, then just, you know, add some flares to it, whatever. But if you're not sure if they want that, you know, maybe show them some references of stuff you've done or something. That way you don't add some extra stuff and they're like, oh no, I don't like that, no. And you have to redo the whole shirt. So just fill it out. That's where your customer service skills come into play, I guess. I've had to redo some stuff over the years, so I tend to be a little bit more specific and cover more details in the beginning when they first place an order. Sometimes that pays off and saves you a bunch of time. So just figure out what your customer wants, what they like, and then just kind of go from there. And I'll do one more and call it done. Time for the white highlights after this. Alright. Pretty cool. We'll call that done. I'm gonna clean out my airbrush, load up some white, and show you just a few little things you can do here and there to make it just have a little bit more pop. So stay tuned. Alright, I got my airbrush loaded with white. The white I'm using is just the opaque white Createx. Got it ready to go. Get that tip clean. Now, like I said, I'm just going to do a few little accents, little highlights. One thing I think looks cool is just when you drag a light highlight line all the way across the name. It almost gives it like a little bling, makes the name look shiny. I do this sometimes, but not all the time. I'll show you. They didn't do it on those names, but a lot of times people will do the little highlights like this at the top of the letters, and then maybe like there. It's a cool little effect. It's really just preference, whatever you think looks cool. Just little highlights like that. Those give it a cool effect too. It may be hard to see those. I'll zoom in and get a closer look when I get done. But basically, this one is just dragging a line across here. Something like that. Maybe you can always start light and build it up. It's really subtle, but it looks cool. I'll zoom in on that too. And kind of same thing with the water. If you want to just give it a little extra detail, maybe do like a highlight line across there. Look like the sun shining on the water maybe. I think that looks kind of cool. And even some little water detail if you want. Just kind of something like this, you know. Just freehand some little water detail in there, almost like it's the water rushing in or something. Doesn't look too bad. Just some little extra detail. And you can also highlight clouds if you want, like so. Just across the top part of the cloud maybe. Just throw in a little highlight there. Make it your own. Don't overdo it. Sometimes that's easy to do. You get carried away doing the little details, and then you do too much detail and it doesn't look as good. So that's good. Just the little detail of the water here, the highlight there. Now, I'm gonna just call that done before I make this shirt look too crazy. It's already kind of busy with all this stuff, but I just wanted to show you guys once again how to do this kind of stuff. That looks cool. Like if you're doing a shirt with just some words on it or something, it's cool to do this stuff because it kind of makes it more interesting as opposed to just a name. So if you do like some graffiti letters or something, that always looks cool around it. With this kind of design, you just have to check with your customer and make sure they like that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna call this one done. Thanks again for checking out my channel. If you haven't already, subscribe so you can stay up to date. I'm going to continue to post more videos. Hopefully every couple of weeks or so. I get busy with doing other stuff. I also have another channel called Rise Above and Inspire. If you like the t-shirt, there will be a link to follow there to get you one. Basically that channel is dedicated to just bettering your lifestyle, how to make more money, books to read if you want to learn how to make more money. I might do some business stuff on there. So if you're trying to do an airbrush business or any other kind of business, or you just want to have more income, I recommend you checking out that channel. I have a lot of new cool stuff to post on there. I'll share a lot of good mentors from other YouTube channels on there. I'm going to share books that I'm currently reading, books I've read, anything I can share to help you guys. If you're interested in that stuff, subscribe to that channel too, check it out. If you're into tattoo work, check out my Instagram, Thomas Kennedy Art, Facebook, Dark Theory Tattoo or Tattoos by Thomas. Follow me everywhere. I do all kinds of stuff, and I'm always trying to share information with the viewers to help y'all out. I stay covered up doing all kinds of different stuff. And if you put in the time and get good at something, you'll be busy and you'll always have plenty of work to do no matter what you're doing. So, thanks for tuning in. Check out all the links below. I'll have links to all the supplies that I use on there. So check that out. Until next time, peace out.